Welcome back to the StormCast. Today is Saturday, November 2nd, and it's a cool 77 degrees outside here in Stormville. We're live on YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble, bringing you another episode of the StormCast. As always, the StormCast is available everywhere you can find podcasts, so be sure to drop a 5-star review on Spotify. Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Twitter and Rumble, and don't forget to like the video. Your support on Patreon also keeps us going strong. That'll be linked down in the description of this video. So let's get into it. I hope everyone has had a great week as we enter the weekend. I want to say all the Spotify pods, if you watch on Spotify, they're now videos. So check out those on Spotify. You can now see them in video format, not just audio. Also, check out the new YouTube video that I just dropped, 72 hours in a wheelchair. Pretty good video on the Stormy and Friends channel. We did a lot of things in that video. I took you in the day of the life, well, 3 days of the life of me being in a wheelchair and fasting. We did a lot of stuff in that video. Swam, we went to the gym, and give you guys a lot of pointers and tips on, how I live and how I, live independently and how I've been living in a wheelchair by myself. So that's a good episode. It's a long video, so go enjoy that on the Stormy and Friends channel. Guys, we have new podcast episodes dropping with guests. If you want to be in a future episode, hit me up for collabs, either in the comments or my DMs on Instagram. That'll be down in the description. Hit me up on there. But we got some episodes stacked up for these next couple weeks with podcast guests. So that's exciting. Recently, I started drinking coffee. I've been getting back into coffee, and the caffeine's been doing wonders for me. I've been loving it. I've been getting some, dark coffee with some caffeine in it, and it's been that's been my new routine. I've been adding that in, so that's been good. Today we got some stuff planned. It's a nice Saturday. I actually got my van in the shop right now. It's got some transmission issues, so these handicap accessible vehicles are not cheap to fix. So I've been handling that. I'm supposed to be getting a rental here this coming Monday, so that's another thing I got going on. Been doing a lot of swimming, working out, making full use of these stem cells that I got recently, and my workout's been going really well. Been feeling really good, gaining a lot of dexterity, gaining a lot of movement. I've been feeling really healthy and, a lot of, just a lot better mentally, physically. And so I've just been trying to take care of myself in that way. We got UFC 308 that happened last week, and it was a great card. The main card was explosive. We had Ilya Topuria taking out Max Holloway by TKO in the third round. That was a nasty little knockout there for the middleweight. Co-main event, we had Robert Whittaker and Khamzat Chimaev taking out Robert Whittaker by submission in the first round. Not to be surprised. Those Russians are disgusting. Khabib with their wrestling, top-notch athletes and superior ground game. The light heavyweight matchup was Magomed Ankalaev taking out Alexander Rakic by decision in the third round. We had Lerone Murphy by decision over Dan Ige. We had Sharon-Putin Magomedov by TKO defeating Armen Petrosyan in the second round. So we have that middleweight matchup with Sharon-Putin and Magomedov. He's still undefeated. Lerone Murphy for the featherweight, he remains undefeated. Magomed Ankalaev, that was a nasty fight. We got Khamzat Chimaev remaining undefeated for the middleweight division, and Ilya Topuria remaining undefeated. So we got a lot of undefeateds in that card. For UFC 309, which is coming up in November 16th. That's going to be a super exciting UFC card right there. For the main card, we got John Jones in the heavyweight main event taking on Stipe Miocic. That's going to be amazing seeing John Jones come back every time he fights. Obviously being one of the best fighters in the world, maybe ever. Debatable, but top 3 for sure, ever, and still being out there at his age, competing at a high level. That's going to be super exciting to watch. For the lightweight co-main event, we got Charles Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler, and we got Vivian Araujo taking on Karine Silva for the women's flyweight matchup. The middleweight matchup, we got Bo Nickel taking on Paul Craig. That's going to be exciting. Bo Nickel still undefeated for that middleweight class, and Chris Weidman also taking on Eric Anders in the middleweight class. So a lot of exciting fights coming up here for college. Today we got a lot of good matchups. We already had South Florida at Florida Atlantic. South Florida beating them 44-21. I had South Florida over Florida Atlantic. I had Boise State over San Diego State, and Boise State came out on top. They got a nasty little team going on, especially with that running back there. Heisman runner up, putting up crazy numbers. We got Virginia Tech at Syracuse. I got Virginia Tech over Syracuse. Ohio State at Penn State. Today I got Penn State beating Ohio State. That's going to be a good one right there. Penn State still being top 10, Ohio State being top 10, and Penn State still being undefeated. So because it's at home, I give Penn State a little bit advantage over Ohio State in that matchup. We got Ole Miss at Arkansas. I got Arkansas with that one. Arkansas looking real good. Air Force at Army. I got Army over Air Force in that one. Memphis at UTSA. I got Memphis in that. Old Dominion at Appalachian State. I got Old Dominion for that one. North Carolina at Florida State today. I got North Carolina. Florida State's not looking good at all. Texas Tech at Iowa State. I got Iowa State in that one. They're looking really good. Top 10 team. UCLA at Nebraska. I got Nebraska. Arizona State at Oklahoma State. I got Arizona State for that one. Oregon at Michigan. Oregon looking really good, but that's going to be a great matchup. I got Oregon coming out on top for that one. Indiana at Michigan State. Indiana for that one. Florida at Georgia. Of course, we got I'm going to go with Georgia being at home for that one. That's going to be a great game. Kansas State at Houston. I got Kansas State. Arizona at UCF. I got UCF on top there. Hawaii at Fresno State. I got Fresno State coming out on top there. Louisville at Clemson. Clemson looking really good. Top 10 team. I got Clemson for that one. Wisconsin at Iowa. Iowa looking good. I got Iowa for that one. USC at Washington. Washington looking really good. I got Washington on that. Texas A&M at South Carolina. Now that's going to be a tough one tonight here in Columbia, South Carolina, but I got A&M over the Gamecocks for that one because A&M is looking really good, undefeated in the division SEC. So I got A&M coming out on top for that one. Colorado State at Nevada. I got Colorado State for that one. Colorado State actually looking really good this year. TCU at Baylor. I got TCU, and Pittsburgh at SMU. That should also be a good game. SMU looking really good. I got SMU being at home there. So I got Oregon beating Michigan 37-21. For the USC at Washington, I got Washington 24, USC 17. And so those are some really good college games we got going on here today. As far as NFL games, there was a great matchup last Thursday. We had the Jets at Houston. Of course, the Jets coming out on top there. Aaron Rodgers looking really good. Looking like they're picking it up, building some chemistry with his receivers. How about those two amazing one-handed catches and touchdowns by Garrett Wilson? Garrett Wilson looking really good if you had him on your fantasy team. He put up 30 points in a couple of my leagues. So shout out to Garrett Wilson. And I had New York actually coming out on top over Houston. And they really needed that match. that win, so they ended up pulling it off. So yeah, I had the Jets winning there, and they did. Dallas at Atlanta today. I got Atlanta. Kirk Cousins looking really good. You got Bijan Robinson. Obviously, they got a great offensive attack. Miami at Buffalo. I got Buffalo. You can never doubt Josh Allen. Um, and Miami still coming back. Tua coming back, so they still need to pick it up on offense, build that chemistry back up. Vegas at Cincinnati. It's a must win for Cincinnati if they want to. If they don't want their season to tank completely, and if they still will have any hopes for playoffs, they have to beat Vegas today. So yeah, so the Bengals over the Raiders at home. LA Chargers at Cleveland. I got the Chargers over Cleveland today or tomorrow, actually. Yeah, Jameis Winston looking really good, but I think Justin Herbert, slight edge in that matchup. New England at Tennessee. That's going to be a sleeper game, but I got Tennessee being at home there. Washington at New York. Washington and Jaden Daniels in that offensive attack they got. New Orleans at Carolina, another sleeper game, but Derek Carr actually should be coming back here soon. So I'm going to go Saints over Carolina. Carolina looking terrible this year. Denver at Baltimore. Baltimore being at home. I'm going to go Baltimore, but that should be a really good game, actually. Denver's defense looking really good this year, and Baltimore's defense not looking as good as past years, but their offense, of course, you got that Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry two-headed monster there. So I'm going to give Baltimore the slight edge in that matchup. Jacksonville at Philadelphia. I'm going to go with the Eagles there. Chicago at Arizona. I'm going to go with Arizona. That should be a really good game. Bears defense looking really good. But Kyler Murray, I think, slight edge at home. Detroit at Green Bay. I'm going to go ahead and go with Detroit for that game. I think Jordan Love is still coming off of injury, and so Detroit might have a slight edge there. You got the Rams at Seattle tomorrow. I'm going to go with Seattle at home. Must win for them. But that game is kind of a toss-up. It could go either way, but actually, I'm going to go ahead and change my pick there. I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm going to lock in with the Rams, actually, over Seattle. For that matchup, I think DK Metcalf is injured and going to not be playing for that game, so I think they're going to be missing him. And but that's a great divisional matchup. Seattle really needs to win it, but I still think the Rams' offensive attack with Puka, if he is healthy, along with Cooper Kupp, I think they're just unstoppable when they're both healthy. And then we got the Colts at the Vikings. The Vikings looking really good this year. Slight hiccup last week with the Rams, but I'm going to go ahead and go with Minnesota there. And Tampa Bay at the Chiefs. Kansas City, I'm going to go ahead and go with the Chiefs for that one. I got the Chiefs 24, Bucks 17. Bucks missing a lot of key offensive opponents. Obviously, you got Mike Evans possibly being out, and then Chris Godwin being out for the year. So not looking really good right there. And then, so yeah, Chiefs looking really good, looking like they're going to be another playoff and Super Bowl contender. They can get that three-peat. I think they're heading for that right now. I think they're the only undefeated team still left in the league. And then we got, I got the Eagles beating the Jaguars tomorrow, 30-17. So those are some of the football matchups we got this weekend. Of course, guys, as we all know, the election is now, 3 days away. So today's the 2nd. We got the election being here coming up on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. So, guys, it's coming up in a couple days. We're going to have a new president. A lot of mixed feelings about that going on around the country. Let me know if you're going to be going out and voting. Go make your voice heard. We need this election to swing the right way. We need the right president in office, and you guys know I'm rocking with this year. We got to get a strong masculine presence back in the office, a powerful force, someone who can take care of the border, someone who can handle foreign affairs and get our military strong and get all the criminals and everyone that's not supposed to be in this country out. And I feel like the Republican candidate of Donald Trump this year should be a better candidate regarding those issues, and abortion rights too. Yeah, I don't really believe in killing unborn babies personally, so we should go out and make your voice heard. This is me doing my part and letting you know how I feel about those issues myself. So that's my vote. I haven't voted yet. I think I'm gonna go out. I will be going out and voting. I haven't done it yet, but I will make sure that I go out and vote this year. I haven't done it in the past year. So recently we had Trump on JRE. Actually, Joe Rogan interviewed Donald Trump for 3 hours. What Trump said will blow your mind, especially about the JFK files and aliens. These are some questions, 15 of them, that Joe asked Donald Trump on the podcast. And this podcast was, one of the most record-breaking and most anticipated podcasts ever. I think it got 30 million views in 3 days. Broke all type of records. Of course, YouTube was censoring it, and it still went crazy with the numbers. Joe ended up posting it on Twitter as well. So the message is out there. One of the questions Joe asked Trump was, what was it like when you first got into office? Trump said he called his first day surreal, driving down Pennsylvania Avenue past his own hotel. He said it felt like a dream or a movie moment. He described the honor and weight of the experience. He said reality set in as he entered the White House. Then another question Joe asked was, what was it like using Air Force One for the first time? Trump answered, boarding Air Force One was a moment of realization. He felt the immense responsibility of the office, called it a privilege every time he used it, and understood its symbolic power beyond control. Another good question Joe asked was, what stood out most about the White House? Trump was surprised that by the beauty inside the White House. He expected a less impressive interior and was captivated by the Lincoln bedroom. He noted that Lincoln's tall bed and the Gettysburg Address kept there. So we all know Lincoln was very tall and he had his own custom bed there. So, Trump, he's one of those guys that is into luxury hotel. He's got the Trump Hotel and he's into real estate and things like that. So if he's impressed by the White House, then it must be a magnificent structure. He said, Joe asked about how many appointments did he have to make while he was in office, and Trump answered 10,000 appointments, with about 100 being critical or crucial. So I'm guessing 100 being with foreign affairs, dealing with leaders of other countries, global superpowers. So it's an important job, guys. We need someone in office that can be able to handle these type of appointments, these type of, and have some type of presence and power, and, someone that can symbolize strength for our economy and for our citizens. And so he lacked Washington connections when he was first in. Everybody was against him. A lot of people didn't like Trump when he was first elected. He had a lot of people that were against him right off the rip, because he's not really a politician. He's more of a celebrity. He was a celebrity way before he even ran for office. So, he entered a whole different landscape of the political climate. So he had a lot of enemies and still does. And so he had a lot of people, that he had to hire that he probably didn't exactly know or trust. And so he said appointing business people was risky since they weren't vetted. He relied on recommendations from people he didn't know well. So Joe asked, "What was your biggest mistake in office?" Trump answered, "The biggest mistakes were bad appointments." He called John Kelly a bully but weak, described John Bolton as an idiot but useful for determining enemies. He blamed relying on recommendations from untrusted sources. So I'm guessing this time, if he does get here in these next couple of days, which I hope he does, he's going to be much more careful on who he decides to have in his cabinets and who he decides to have as his officials and have as his advisors. He's talked about having people like Elon Musk to help with um, savings costs and Space Force and other people like John F. Kennedy uh, working for the health board as a health advisor. So he's got some ideas. I don't see Kamala, appointing people with like Elon Musk, people who aren't politicians, people who aren't shady, um, as officials. I don't see her making much of a difference there. She's already in office and she doesn't really seem to have much ideas about policy or how she's going to improve the economy in the country that we're living in right now to make it better. When asked recently in an interview, she said she wouldn't do much different than what Joe Biden has done, and she said there isn't much that she would change. So that's a concerning answer for me personally. And Joe also asked, "How would you have stopped Russia from invading the Ukraine?" Um, very crazy war going on right there. People dying in trenches, men dying every day, by drone strikes, and terrible war. Fighting over there, war of attrition, men dying in holes in the ground in huts every day. It's something that we do need to resolve, and a lot of we're putting a lot of resources and funding over there for that war for Ukraine. Trump believed that Putin wouldn't have invaded under his leadership. He told Putin directly that he wouldn't allow it. He believed keeping oil prices at $40 would cut off Russian funds. He cited Afghanistan's withdrawal as a disaster, right? Biden exited Afghanistan. Um, he described it as emboldening Putin. When we did exit Afghanistan, Biden left a lot of resources, a lot of funds. There's videos of Taliban marching through the streets with the highest tech U.S. equipment and guns and tanks and aircraft. So that was seen as weak by Putin, uh, by the United States, and so that might have been one of the reasons for inciting Putin to actually invade the Ukraine. Um, what went wrong with the Afghanistan withdrawals? Joe asked, I should say rather, and Trump answered. So he criticized how the withdrawal was managed. He said troops should have been removed last, not first. Which makes sense, right? You withdraw the troops after the equipment, and so he slammed the decision to leave billions in equipment behind. He claimed keeping Bagram Air Base was essential, which I believe we gave up. Um, Joe asked, "What do you think for nuclear power?" Trump answered he saw potential in small, safer nuclear plants. He pointed to France's compact plant model, recalled his uncle's expertise in nuclear science, acknowledging the risk but believed its safe use. And that's a very important one. As more and more countries get nuclear weapons, it's important for us to be far beyond them and far ahead of the curve when it comes to, how the way the world war is changing, and nuclear weapons and drones and technology. So, Joe asked, how do you view tariffs? Trump called tariffs the most beautiful word in the dictionary. He believed tariffs could make the country rich, mentioned their success in the 1880s through the 1890s. He floated the idea of replacing income tax with tariffs. So that would, benefit the economy greatly. No more income tax, and we just tax other countries, right? So that's one of those things that someone like a businessman, a mind that Trump has, he could improve the economy in that way. A lot of people like to get on Trump, as far as how the economy went while he was in office, but they forget to mention when he was elected, it was right when COVID-19, the scamdemic, happened. So he was fighting an uphill battle the entire time, but he handled the decision, or the pandemic rather, decently in my eyes. Besides all of the, the stuff with, health, and how the masks and the mandates and the social distancing and the, I don't really like how he, kind of pushed vaccines, but he believed there's some science behind that, and he did have someone appointing him as far as how we should handle vaccines and stuff like that. So I mean, it wasn't easy, I'm sure, to be a leader of a country during that pandemic. So Joe asked, after, what are your thoughts on immigration and border policy? Trump answered, he warned of rising crime and unchecked migration, which is another issue, right? A weak southern border, letting in thousands upon thousands of criminals and, into our country from the South, not just Mexicans, but people from all over the world, getting in illegally and committing all type of heinous crime, sex trafficking, human trafficking, things of that sort. He claimed 15,000 convicted rapists entered the country, mentioned Venezuelan gangs taking over communities. He criticized Democrats for supporting open border for votes. So let's go down here a little bit. What else did they talk about? So yeah, those are just some of the things that they talked about on that episode. I got a little video to go along with this topic. We got Donald Trump on being targeted by the media. So let's see what he's talking about. That's another crazy thing about Trump, is that before he tried to get into the political landscape, he was very loved by not only the hip hop community, but everyone, all type of celebrities. He had his own show, The Apprentice, and it's crazy how a lot of people forget about that. Yeah, no, Kamala's, all of her interviews are absolutely, despicable and, frustrating to watch, just the way she backtracks, and, she can't answer a question completely. She has to kind of deter and, start from her childhood. Well, I was born in a middle class household. It's like, no, we need to hear policy. We need to hear something serious. We need to know how you're thinking. And she just can't answer a question straight. Could you imagine Kamala Harris on something like the Joe Rogan podcast, being grilled and, having to dig deep, and answer, and, highly intellectual questions, and have a, high IQ conversation with someone like Joe Rogan? It just wouldn't happen. And it didn't happen. She was supposed to go on the Joe Rogan podcast, which is, one of the biggest platforms, probably the biggest podcast in the world. And she had stipulations. She wanted Joe to come to her studio. Apparently, it could only be an hour long. They do stuff like this, that campaign, Kamala Harris, because they want questions to be manufactured, and she's the type of person that doesn't, she's not coming up with her own ideas. She's being, controlled in her ideas, and her, policies are, being controlled by someone behind the scenes. So that's why they hate somebody like Trump, who's a free thinker, who's, an independent mind, who can't be controlled. And so yeah, guys, that's that's crazy how she handles her media and how Donald Trump markets himself. No, that is wild. They manipulate her answers, and she's pre-recorded and edited. And someone like Trump is, he could go for days. He has these rallies where he just freestyles, and it's not like he's just reading off a teleprompter. And so that's why somebody like him is being targeted, and why the media tries to, make him look, paint him in a certain way. It's because he's a masculine, free thinking force, and they don't want masculinity, out there to be, to be seen as a positive thing. They want, men to be weak, and this is all purposeful. This is because, if men aren't, masculine, and they aren't, warriors, and they're not powerful, then they can be controlled. And if they can be controlled, then so can the women, because the women a lot of times follow their man, and, women a lot of times don't think for themselves. They are influenced a lot by, ads and media and social media. So that's why somebody like Donald Trump is important, to be a figurehead and to be seen as the leader, versus Kamala Harris. That is, it's better the two options. They both have their faults. So I'm not saying this man is a saint. I'm not saying he doesn't have some things that you know, that can't be disagreed with. That, not all of his policies are perfect, obviously, but more so than his opponent. Also, if men are weak and seen as weak, and they're, the left, they want, women in men's bathrooms, men in women's bathrooms, transgender rights, all this, nonsense and degeneracy, then men can't fight against, if they're weak, they can't fight against, the oppressors, those that want to take our guns, that want to take our rights. There won't be anyone to stand up for, um, you know, society once they want to take complete control over your life and your rights. And yeah, guys, I mean, you get, especially if you're in the United States, you get desensitized by media. You don't think that it's as serious as going on, but there's a lot of people, a lot of wars going on, especially overseas and in, Eastern and Central Europe. There are a lot of wars going on right now, a lot of warfare. So people are dying in trenches, and um, it's a serious, especially if we continue to fund them and we don't have a strong presence, globally, then we could very easily get dragged into one of these wars. And, the sweet company we are used to, people are going to get drafted, and World War III is on the verge, and this won't be a normal war. This is going to be fought very differently than the past world wars. You got drones, you got the advancement of AI and things like that are influencing how war is fought. So it's a scary landscape out there, especially for men. They're going to be the first ones to be drafted into this war that's potential to happen. With Russia, and so that's why it's important. That's why a lot of people say that. And me, I kind of agree that women's vote, should be either half, or they shouldn't have one, because we're picking the leader of our military, right? The commander in chief. So men are going to be the first ones once this war does start, and we're going to be having to rely on the leadership and of our commander-in-chief, the president. So that's why men's vote should, mean a little bit more, because we're going to be the ones dying in these wars. So you see how Joe Rogan, this what also makes him one of the best interviewers, ever, and why his podcast is so successful, and is why it's a genius marketing move for Trump to not only go on here and have a long form, intelligent conversation, but also to have his vice president, JD Vance, come on a week later to have a long form, intelligent conversation, which we'll talk about here in a second. But Joe's so great at just digging deep and asking the questions that the audience wants to hear, and the important questions, and really get into the meat in the importance of a lot of these issues that are going on. He just digs and digs and digs and gets to the important information, and that's what just makes his podcast so entertaining but informational. And Trump, he's one of these people who's a free thinker, and he's got actual ideas and facts behind and a lot of he's got plans to execute a lot of these things that he's talking about. And he has answers, independent answers, not, he's not being controlled or, censored, or, he's actually, these are what he believes in. So that's what makes him a better candidate also. You see how Trump, he's talking about using the power and, of the United States, putting huge tariffs, stopping, funding of other countries, making, keeping all the resources within the United States, using our resources for our own good, and, pretty much taking from other countries instead of giving, which is kind of what we see the current administration doing under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Is they're just giving all type of resources and funding to other countries, and which is kind of just putting us further behind and in debt, and ruining our economy. So that's why someone like a businessman like Trump is is just better for the economy
to protect.
And a lot of people may say, oh, how can you support Trump? He's racist, he hates migrants or immigrants, and that's just something that the media wants you to believe, right? Donald Trump, like I said before he was a politician, you had the entire rap community, the entire, everybody was for Trump, everybody, like Donald Trump, all type of songs made about him, all type of shows with him, and everybody, he was everywhere. But now he's a racist all of a sudden, right? And that's just something that they use as an emotional trigger, to be able to control, especially a lot of people, a lot of black people, a lot of black women, especially, our emotions are involved with things like that. And it's used to persuade their vote. I think a lot of black men have kind of come to the senses that we don't really, I see a lot of black men nowadays kind of veering more on the side of Trump and, the right conservative values, because it makes more sense, right, for our economy to go back to traditional values. And that's what, kind of what Make America Great Again kind of stands for, in a sense, is kind of returning back to, how things should be, not all the degeneracy and stuff that they're pushing in the media, when it comes to, aborting babies and, LGBTQ, the agenda that's going on there in schools and stuff like that. So, we got someone who is, combating what they're trying to use to control us. And so that's why he's a huge target for media. But that's why I feel like it's even more so important to support this man and, see how he's going to be able to change the economy and those issues, and, how we handle, border security and foreign affairs. And another thing is, Trump being racist. I feel like that's just, That's hilarious because you don't become a billionaire, and someone that successful and rich by being racist, right? You have to be able to work with a multitude of different races people and people with different ideas and backgrounds and religions. So that's just another one of those things they just use to try to control you and make you feel a certain type of way. But it's an emotional trigger, right? You need to be rational when deciding things like who's going to be the leader of your country. Great conversation there, of course, by Joe Rogan and um, Donald Trump. Great, interview. Um, Go ahead and check that out if you haven't yet. And just a great 3 hour pod there. We got his vice president JD Vance coming on to the Joe Rogan podcast, which is a great marketing scheme by the Trump campaign, right? Is to get both him and his vice president on one of the biggest platforms on the internet. So that should probably sway a lot of votes. A lot of people, in the past years who, are Joe Rogan fans might have been swayed, based on the influence of Joe Rogan. And it seems like this year he's, leaning towards Trump. In the past he's been seen as, liberal, maybe even centrist, but this year I don't see him voting for, someone like that, like centrist or like a Kamala Harris. I feel like they had a great conversation and after the fact, he talked about what type of person he was and so I see a lot of voters being going towards the direction of Trump, just based on these interviews alone. So we also had JD Vance going on the Joe Rogan podcast as well. JD Vance's his recent interview, it was a wide-ranging conversation covering a lot of key social um, and political issues. Vance, an Ohio senator and vice president candidate, discussed topics such as American economic policy, immigration, and the role of the working class. Here's a quick summary and some takeaways from the podcast. The economic concerns and working class of America. Vance emphasized that current economic policies often overlook the working class, addressing issues like inflation and high costs of living. He argued for a shift in policy focus to better support manufacturing and bring back jobs in the U.S. Regarding border security and immigration, he spoke at length about immigration, advocating for stricter border control and highlighting the social and economic impacts of illegal immigration, including stress on community resources and job markets. Regarding drug policy and the fentanyl crisis we have going on in the United States, Vance discussed the fentanyl crisis, stating that they're increasing border security could help curb drug trafficking and reduce overdose deaths. He suggested that higher penalties on drug traffickers and improved treatment for addiction are crucial. Regarding the war in Ukraine and foreign policy, Vance expressed skepticism regarding ongoing U.S. involvement in Ukraine. He argued that the focus should be on domestic issues rather than international conflicts unless they pose a direct threat to U.S. Regarding the role of technology and AI, he said that technology was another topic that Vance shared concerns about regarding ethical implications of artificial intelligence and its impact on jobs and security. So it's another interesting pod that Joe put up right after Trump was on. So let's jump right into some of JD Vance speaking on Kamala's border politics and the migrant crisis. Pause it right there. I think my stream's been taken down. We still live. We still going. I think on YouTube we got copyrighted. Yeah, we've definitely got copyrighted chat. Yeah, so I think my stream is down. Let me see what's going on here. It's ain't the first time this has happened. I think we're still live on Twitter though. We may still be live. I might be able to continue this stream if you're on Twitter or Rumble and watching this. I think on YouTube they copyrighted me. Like I said, this ain't my first time this has happened. StormCast 14 broadcast. Let me make sure we're still live on YouTube. They copyrighted me. Yeah, like I said, the same one. All right, guys. So I just got copyrighted on YouTube. We are still live on Twitter and Rumble here. So I'm going to continue this stream, and I'll probably chop it up a little bit for YouTube and post it that way. So yeah, let's just get right back into it. We're going to finish off this stream. We're going to keep going. Of course, YouTube doesn't, they don't want the truth to be getting out there. So that's why we are also streaming on Rumble and Twitter. Follow up on there as well, like to stream up. That's another reason, right? That's why they want open borders. It's because, all these illegals are coming in. They're not voting for Donald Trump, someone that's trying to secure a wall and build a wall against them, right? They're trying to get these illegal immigrants and give them, American citizenship, and they're all going to vote in their idea, for Kamala Harris and the left, because that's what a lot of them do. And, that does not make for a secure country. A lot of these guys are not, the best of their country. A lot of them are, in fact, criminals and traffickers of the sort. And, so that's, a lot of their, idea on the left is to go ahead and let them in because they will vote against Trump. And that's not a good idea. All right, we're going to stop it right there. They're getting a lot of into, policy right there and more on the migrant crisis. But, another interesting, well-spoken, high IQ level conversation with Joe Rogan and Vice President nominee J.D. Vance. You got Vance noting his desire to bring working class issues into the mainstream and stressing caution and prioritizing domestic welfare over foreign interventions, calling for stronger borders and policy reform, focusing on legal pathways, advocating for policies to bring back industry jobs and reducing reliance on imports from other countries, suggesting harsher penalties and enhanced border control, expressing concerns about tech monopolies and AI's impact on jobs, emphasizing the need for vocational training and less focus on four-year degrees, suggesting reform to encourage work and self-sufficiency, advocating for American energy independence and reducing reliance on foreign oil, recommending policies to reduce spending and focus on economic stability, arguing for simplifying the tax code to make it fair for the middle class, calling for caution and policies to limit economic dependence on China, recommending community policy, policing and stricter sentencing for violent crime, discussing the moral foundation religion provides for leadership, highlighting the importance of bipartisan cooperation and upholding democratic values. So Vance's positions reflect a conservative, populist approach, focusing on securing American resources and prioritizing domestic issues over international ones. So he's a very well-spoken, articulate guy, obviously from a high-class background and having a high education. So he's very, intellectual guy, a lot of points, and he's going to be a target, once Trump, obviously Trump's target number one, but, this is going to be Trump's last term if he does win. So from there, they're going to be looking towards J.D. Vance as the next target, right? Because he's going to have, a potential 8 years, which he can, get into office and have that leadership. So, we gotta, pick, who's got better policies and who wants, better, stronger country, and to get us back on top and have us, as a leader in the economic landscape of the world. So that's why I believe those two are the best candidates for our country. So, in other news, here's what you need to know to get up to speed. We have Elon Musk. He wants to build a city with 1 million people on Mars by 2054. So Elon Musk has outlined an ambition to establish a self-sustaining city on Mars by 2054, aiming for a population of 1 million people, provided civilization rather stays and remains stable. This vision relies on rapid progress in SpaceX's Starship technology, which Musk expects will lower the cost of transporting people and equipment to Mars if global stability persists. The city will utilize Martian resources such as producing oxygen and fuel from the planet's atmosphere, marking a crucial step towards making humanity a multi-planetary species. Very interesting stuff we got from Elon Musk. Obviously, he's ahead of SpaceX, and this is just some futuristic stuff. You don't get a few people like this in a lifetime, and Elon Musk is our generation Picasso, Da Vinci type character. We got a Twitter post with a picture of Starship. I'm guessing they're on Mars in this picture, and they have a base going on. Very futuristic. Looks like a movie. But Elon commented under, if civilization is reasonably stable for the next 30 years, a self-sustaining city of 1 million people will be built on Mars. Very ambitious, but you can never count someone like Elon Musk out, and he's a visionary, right? So I believe this is something that would be amazing. You guys let me know down below, would you be willing to go to Mars and live your life there? Obviously it's gonna be a long road, right? You're gonna take a rocket, get to another planet. But you get one lifetime. Would you be willing to leave everything here on Earth and start a new life in Mars? Y'all let me know. We got a video related explaining how Elon Musk just revealed how SpaceX will land on Mars.
Mars, here we come. This statement may seem bold, but it's no exaggeration now that Elon Musk has unveiled detailed plans for this monumental mission. However, the road ahead is not without significant challenges. SpaceX will need to overcome numerous obstacles to make this dream a reality. So, how exactly will SpaceX achieve its ambitious goal? Let's dive into the specifics in today's episode of Great SpaceX and explore the path that lies ahead for humanity's journey to the Red Planet. As we move through 2024, humanity edges closer to one of its most ambitious goals, colonizing Mars. SpaceX, led by visionary Elon Musk, has made significant progress in developing the technology needed to turn this dream into reality. The fully reusable Starship, a spacecraft capable of carrying large payloads and refueling in orbit, has undergone rapid development, with important milestones achieved along the way. While the journey is full of challenges, Musk has outlined a clear roadmap to Mars, signaling that we may be on the verge of a new era in space exploration. One of the most frequently asked questions is, when will SpaceX actually reach Mars? On September 7th, Musk took to X, formerly Twitter, to provide a more specific timeline. He announced the first starships to Mars will launch in 2 years when the next Earth-Mars transfer window opens. This statement suggests that the first uncrewed mission to Mars could take place as early as late 2026 or early 2027, in line with previous predictions. These initial flights will be crucial for testing the reliability of Starship's landing capabilities on Mars. Musk emphasized that initially, these will be uncrewed to test the reliability of landing intact on Mars. If those landings go well, then the first crewed flights to Mars will be in 4 years.
So he's got Elon Musk talking 4 years from now. He's gonna be sending people to Mars. It's right around the corner. It'll be here in no time. 4 years ago we were in a scamdemic, and now it's over. So time flies, and he's already trying to get the Starship to be able to land on Mars unmanned, and if that's possible, that should give people a lot of hope and confidence in boarding one of his flights, and actually heading over to Mars.
Mars landings present unique challenges compared to Earth or Moon missions. The planet's thin atmosphere and harsh conditions make landing large spacecraft like Starship significantly more complicated than the smaller rovers and landers that NASA has previously sent. However, successful uncrewed landings will pave the way for human missions, which Musk predicts will occur around 2028 or early 2029. The timeline for these missions is dictated by orbital mechanics. Earth and Mars align favorably for space travel once every 26 months when they are closest to each other, a period known as.
So we're gonna have to, or Elon is gonna have to figure out. This is a very complex task. Requiring a lot of, obviously, brilliant minds and high IQ individuals to be able to set this underway, right? So you need this, not only the planets to be in alignment, but you need to be able to have enough fuel to be able to travel the distance to get there safely and land, and enough resources to be able to survive there, not only on the trip, but once you land, and then be able to continue to survive while you're there, and to be able to sustain, oxygen, water, shelter. All of these are complex tasks that Elon Musk is obviously gonna have to figure out, along with all the other companies that he's running. So I don't get how someone like Elon Musk even sleeps. How he has time to sleep, how he has time to do anything with all these different operations going. But someone like this, as I said, is such a gem in our society. Someone that's we're so privileged to be able to exist at the same time with, and I'm just it's a great time to be alive.
As a launch window. SpaceX has set these windows as milestones, with Musk stating that each launch opportunity is crucial to advancing the mission. If the 2026 to 2027 uncrewed mission goes according to plan, the first humans could step foot on Mars by 2028, marking a historic leap forward in space exploration. Once humans arrive, Musk's plan is to begin the process of colonization in earnest. Flight rate will grow exponentially from there, with the goal of building a self-sustaining city in about 20 years, Musk said. In Musk's eyes, making humanity a multiplanetary species is essential for ensuring the survival and expansion of human consciousness. Being multiplanetary will vastly increase the probable lifespan of consciousness, as we will no longer have all our eggs, literally and metabolically, on one planet, Musk explained. The implications of this are profound. Musk's plan would safeguard humanity against potential extinction events on Earth, whether caused by natural disasters, pandemics, or even self-inflicted catastrophes like nuclear war or climate change. By establishing a colony on Mars, humanity would take its first steps toward becoming a spacefaring civilization. At the heart of this vision is SpaceX's Starship, a next-generation spacecraft designed to be fully reusable and capable of carrying massive payloads. Musk has highlighted the importance of Starship's payload capacity in achieving the Mars mission. Currently, Starship V1 can carry under 100 tons of payload, while the V2 version, which is already in production, will exceed that figure. Eventually, Starship V3, standing at 150 meters tall, will be able to transport over 200 tons of cargo per flight. Musk recently disclosed even more ambitious payload goals, stating max payload to standard Earth reference orbit is actually 180 tons thereabouts for Starship when it is fully reusable, and around 300 tons if expendable. The latter number is the apples-to-apples number comparing Starship to Saturn V. More than 100 tons to the Starlink orbit is the operational spec minimum. For Mars colonization, the math is clear. Musk believes it will require 1 million tons of cargo to build a self-sustaining city capable of supporting 1 million people. To achieve this, SpaceX must launch Starship up to 10 times per day during each Mars transfer window, sending a total of 250,000 tons of cargo to Mars every opportunity. Over the course of 4 such launch windows, or about 8 years, SpaceX could deliver the 1 million tons of necessary cargo. If everything goes according to plan, this process would fit neatly within the 20-year timeframe Musk has envisioned for creating a Mars colony, beginning as soon as 2028 or 2029. However, building a city on Mars won't be cheap. Musk has been upfront about the immense cost of the endeavor, but SpaceX's approach has always focused on reducing costs through reusability. The Falcon rockets have already proven this concept, and now Starship aims to take it to the next level. SpaceX created the first fully...
As you saw in the last podcast, if you haven't already tuned in and checked out episode 13 of the StormCast, we watched Starship land in its back into its payload, into its, right, perfectly, using that technology that SpaceX has created for that rocket to be reusable. It was an amazing sight, beautiful to watch. In Starship, that's what they're gonna, obviously use to be able to transport people and resources. So very exciting stuff going on here.
Reusable rocket stage, and much more importantly, made the reuse economically viable. Musk said in a recent post highlighting how essential cost optimization will be to the mission's success. He also shared the staggering cost of delivering payloads to Mars under current conditions. It currently costs about $1 billion per ton of useful payload to the surface of Mars. That needs to be improved to $100,000 per ton to build a self-sustaining city there.
I don't think you guys caught that. I don't even quite, I can't even quite grasp that. $1 billion per ton, 2,000 pounds of useful payload to the surface of Mars. $1 billion, ladies and gentlemen, that needs to be improved to 100,000 per ton to build a self-sustaining city there. So this technology needs to be 10,000 times better. Extremely difficult, but possible. Wow. So that's a lot of money. We're talking a lot of resources, and Elon Musk obviously is the richest person, if not one of the richest people ever to exist, but still, managing all these different companies, and this is not a cheap task. This is going to require a lot of funding and resources. So that's another thing that makes becoming a multiplanetary species, moving to other planets, so difficult, is because fundamentally a cost per ton is $1 billion, which is a magnificent economic cost, and so that's why, he created the first fully reusable rocket, which is much more important so that we can reuse it and is more economically viable and resource efficient and less costly.
So the technology needs to be 10,000 times better, Musk explained. As SpaceX sets its sights on Mars, it's important to take stock of both the impressive accomplishments achieved so far and the significant work that lies ahead. Over the past year, SpaceX has made incredible progress with its Starship program, completing 4 integrated test flights. One of the most notable milestones has been successfully landing both stages of Starship, a feat that marks a key step toward achieving full reusability. This is crucial for SpaceX's long-term goal of colonizing Mars, as reusability will significantly lower the cost and complexity of repeated missions. The next big challenge for SpaceX comes with Flight 5, expected around October. During this flight, SpaceX will attempt a groundbreaking maneuver, recovering the Super Heavy booster using the Mechazilla arm, a large structure designed to catch and stabilize the rocket as it descends. If successful, this would be a major advancement toward full reusability. Following this, Flight 6 or Flight 7 will aim to recover both the Super Heavy booster and Star.
We already saw the booster landing successfully into its booster holder, so that's already been successful. They're well on their way of, making it a reusable rocket, and being able to get resources and people back and forth safely.
Starship, making it the first fully reusable rocket system ever achieved. These flights represent crucial milestones on SpaceX's roadmap, with full reusability being a pivotal part of the Mars mission strategy. While these technological challenges are formidable, SpaceX has made it clear that the road to fully operational Starship rockets will likely take the rest of 2024 and into early 2025. After mastering recovery, SpaceX plans to ramp up its launch frequency, increasing reliability and efficiency. Alongside this, they are developing an orbital refueling system, a vital component for enabling long range missions to destinations like the Moon, Mars, and beyond. This refueling system will allow Starship to carry more payload and travel farther without needing to return to Earth for fuel, a game changing capability for interplanetary travel. As SpaceX moves forward, it is continuously working to enhance Starship's capabilities. This includes transitioning to newer, more powerful versions of the spacecraft like Starship V2, which will allow for even greater payloads and operational flexibility. Recent upgrades to the Raptor engines, heat shields, and other essential systems reflect the ongoing innovation at SpaceX. The company is not just focusing on the spacecraft itself, but is also expanding its ground operations. The completion of the new test systems and construction of Star Factory and additional launch towers are expected to significantly increase SpaceX's operational capacity, helping them meet the aggressive launch demands they've set for themselves. But advancing technology isn't the only challenge SpaceX faces. The company also needs to navigate the complex web of regulatory approvals required to increase its launch cadence. SpaceX has proposed a plan to conduct up to 25 launches per year at Starbase and 44 launches annually from its Florida facilities, aiming to pave the way for even greater launch volumes in the future, potentially thousands of launches per year. However, these ambitious plans hinge on receiving the necessary approvals from the FAA and other regulatory agencies. Current procedures are not yet equipped to handle the scale of SpaceX's plans, and the company frequently encounters delays due to environmental and governmental regulations. To overcome these obstacles, SpaceX will need to work closely with these agencies to streamline the approval process and demonstrate the reliability of their operations. Proving that Starship can operate safely and efficiently at such high volumes is critical for Musk's vision to become a reality. Only by clearing these regulatory and environmental hurdles will SpaceX be able to significantly increase its launch frequency and ultimately achieve its Mars colonization goals. There are certainly challenges ahead for Elon Musk and his team, but their determination and focus on a clear goal keep the dream of Mars within reach. With each successful test
So yeah, guys, a lot of challenges, obviously, in becoming a multiplanetary species, getting getting humanity to Mars, something that's been talked about for a long time now, but something that's becoming more and more realistic with someone like Elon Musk, trying to figure out the complex problems of space travel and also being able to have the resources and the funding to do so, and the complexities that come with that. So that's just Elon Musk. They're revealing how SpaceX will land on Mars. Guys, it's coming. The future's now, and it's going to be very possible here in the future that we have humans and maybe even you. Let me down below if you're going to be willing to be able to travel, willing to travel actually to go to a different planet. So exciting stuff there. Moving on, we have a subject that's got everyone talking. Let's get into the details. We got the world's first AI hospital unveiled in China with robot doctors who can treat 3,000 patients a day and will save millions. The futuristic medical care is expected to lead to the cultivation of highly skilled doctors. So inside China's AI hospital. Let's get into it. Little ad right here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and mute that. No sponsorship here from Adobe. Guys, if you're watching and you're in the chat, drop a W in the chat. We are approaching 2 hours here for this stream. It's gonna be a long one, it's gonna be a meaty one. We still got a couple topics to talk about. So if you're in the chat, go ahead and drop a like if you're watching this in the live replay. Drop a like, comment down below how you're enjoying the pod so far, and what you think about some of the topics and what you want to hear more from Stormy and Friends. So let's get to this video. Asian hospital in China can treat 3,000 patients a day. Developed by operational by late 2024, Chinese university hospital can save millions through autonomous interactions. This AI doctor can treat up to 10,000 patients in 2 days. Tests have already shown an impressive 93% accuracy rate in AI. Covering major respiratory diseases, AI doctors were able to simulate the full treatment process. The AI hospital will bring immense benefits to both medical professionals and the general public, says Lu Yang, a research for the university that they're performing this at. Guys, so 10,000 patients, or actually 3,000 patients a day by these doctors, which is way more obviously than a human would ever be able to do, and a 93% success rate, which is going to be, way higher than any human doctor, or, won't have any human error. And, it's going to be non-biased. It's going to obviously continue to raise its success rate, I believe, with AI implanted in it. It's only going to get smarter. So this is dubbed Agent Hospital, the first AI hospital where robot doctors can treat 3,000 patients a day, which has been unveiled in China. The virtual facility will have the potential to save millions through autonomous interaction. So we got this doctor here. Look at that, straight out of the future right there. Imagine that coming to your bedside, treating you right there. The AI hospital could see robots treating humans. It's already happening. It's crazy how places like China and overseas, and they're far advanced in picking up things like this. Rather than the United States, we have all this funding and FDA controls, and it needs to be passed down the line and approved by multiple different organizations. You got people in countries like China that they don't have as strict regulations, and they're making progress, and it's for the betterment of society. And so this AI was able to simulate the entire process of diagnosing and treating patients during testing. Look at that, just completely over a human there, just like touching it, diagnosing it, and reading it. The AI hospital will bring immense benefits to both medical professionals and the general public. Developed by researchers from Tsinghua University in Beijing, the AI hospital is so advanced that it already aims to be operational by the second half of 2024. 6 months of research and development means the hospital is nearing readiness for practical application, where it is set to transform the way doctors diagnose and treat patients. Research team leader of the Asian hospital, Lu Yang, and the AI hospital will bring immense benefits to both the medical professionals and the general public, Global Times report. Thanks to this simulated environment and ability to autonomously evolve, AI doctors will be able to treat up to 10,000 patients within a matter of days. That's, far beyond the capacity of any human doctor, obviously. To put this into perspective, it would take at least 2 years for human doctors to achieve the same numbers. Tests conducted by Chinese researchers have already shown AI doctor agents achieve an impressive 93% accuracy rate on the Med QA dataset, or U.S. medical licensing exam questions. Covering major respiratory diseases, the virtual medical professionals were able to simulate the entire process of diagnosing and treating patients. This included consultation, examination, diagnosis, treatment, and the follow-up process. So amazing stuff there. Very exciting stuff. Got a little video to go along with it here. Let's meet the RoboDoc, the world's first AI hospital unveiled with robot doctors. So guys, we already know that AI is here, right? ChatGPT, phones being integrated with AI. So it's only a matter of time before we use that benefit to, help out people with, so let's say disabilities, or people with, cerebral palsy or anything that is a devastating impairment to their health and their quality of living and the well-being. We can use this artificial intelligence as for the benefit of society and humanity. And the medical uses are only getting started, but it's on the horizon, and that's pretty exciting. As you said, as we just said, and you heard the guy just say there in that interview that talking to a doctor, he's saying there's soon a lot of these doctors, people that are well respected, took a lot of time and effort, and took a lot of school and went in debt to get their jobs and a lot of studying, and a lot of these guys will be replaced. And a lot of jobs out there will be replaced, and there's only a matter of time. So yeah, a lot of healthcare jobs and professionals got to be on the lookout. That's not the only jobs that these robots will probably take over. You got house cleaners, you got nurses, you know, people, teachers, politicians, maybe even, why not, replace, the president with a robot, right? If he's going to make all the right decisions, very controversial, but it's only a matter of time. Great video there. So as you see, ladies and gentlemen, stop sharing the screen here. We got a lot going on here. So we got AI hospitals and robot doctors transforming healthcare, introducing a future where artificial intelligence and robotic systems handle many aspects of patient care. AI diagnostics analyze medical images with precision, often spotting early signs of disease that human eyes might miss, leading to quicker, more accurate diagnosis. Robotics systems assist in surgeries with unmatched precision, enabling minimally invasive procedures with shorter recovery times. AI-driven monitoring systems track patients' vitals in real time, catching health issues before they escalate, especially beneficial for chronic conditions. Virtual health assistants and AI chatbots handle preliminary interactions like symptom triage and appointment scheduling, freeing up healthcare staff for more complex tasks. While these advancements offer efficacy and efficiency in personalized care, they raise essential questions about privacy, data security, and ensuring access across different populations, highlighting the importance of balancing tech with human oversight in medicine. And so, as you see here, they're being slowly implemented, one by one. It's not going to completely take over right away, but they will eventually, be implemented and seen vastly across different societies and offer what I believe to be a great and positive transformation in humanity. So, you got people in other countries that may not be able to access healthcare and doctors and be able to get a diagnosis, easily or accessibly. This is going to be something that can change a lot of lives and, change the way we experience healthcare, not only here, but all over the world. So that's very exciting news. In other news, let's now shift gears to something that's making headlines and sparking discussions. Here's the latest insight into AI-designed rocket engines. So the world's first AI-designed 3D printed rocket engine has been successfully test fired. The University of Sheffield collaborated with AI engineering startup Leap 71 and inventor Sam Rogers to successfully test fire the world's first AI-designed 3D printed rocket engine. Sheffield contributed expertise in advanced manufacturing and propulsion, while Leap 71's Neuron code autonomously designed the engine, which was 3D printed in copper. The engine went from design to manufacturing in weeks and underwent a successful test at Airborne Engineering. Leap 71 plans to use this data to enhance Neuron and is partnering with aerospace firms worldwide. This breakthrough significantly accelerates the traditional design to production process for rocket engines. So let's hear what this rocket engine is sounding like. Powerful, strong, and incredibly AI designed. Let's hear it again here. They collaborated with, Sam Rogers, who is a Leap 71 startup owner using AI, and he successfully test fired, and they got the world's first AI designed 3D printed rocket engine to fire. So exciting stuff. And if you heard it just now, look at that thing. It looks straight from a different planet. It's absolutely what you would kind of imagine something like an AI design to come up with. Looks completely like an alien species, like straight out of a Superman movie. Got the article here from the University of Sheffield. explaining that a team from University of Sheffield collaborated with software startup AI engineering company Leap 71 and inventor Sam Rogers to test fire the world's first AI designed 3D printed rocket engine. Making use of Sheffield's expertise in advanced manufacturing, metal 3D printings, and rocket propulsion, the team provided practical feedback to Leap 71's managing director and co-founder Josephine Lisner while developing their Neuron code, which was used to design the engine. So they're using code now. So using Neuron, the company's large computational engineering model, meant that the engine was designed autonomously without human intervention and then 3D printed in copper. This revolutionary way of designing rocket engines enabled the team to go from preliminary design to fully manufactured rocket engine in a matter of weeks. The guidance and experience provided by the team at Sheffield ensured that the engine design worked first time, undergoing a successful day's hot fire at Airborne Engineering in Westcott. Leap 71 will use the data from the test to further advance Neuron. The company is working with leading aerospace companies in the US, Europe, and Asia on the commercialization of the resulting rocket engines. Josephine Lisner, aerospace engineer and managing director of Leap 71, said, "This is an important milestone for us, but also for the entire industry. We can now automatically create functional rocket thrusters and directly move to practical validation. From final specification to manufacturing, the design of this engine took less than 2 weeks. In traditional engineering, this would take many months or even years. Each new engine iteration takes only minutes. Innovation in science and in space propulsion is hard and costly. With our approach, we hope to make space more accessible for everyone." Sheffield took receipt of the engine from 3D print company AMCM and carried out the post-processing and preparation for the test, going from print to hot fire in under 2 weeks, thanks to the skilled team in the mechanical engineering workshop. The particular liquid oxygen and liquid kerosene propellant combination used was similar to that used in Saturn V rocket engine used to take the Apollo astronauts to the moon, and is the first time this combination has been used in the UK for a number of years. So here's a quote here from Dr. Alistair John, the Deputy Director of Aerospace Engineering at the University of Sheffield, stating, "It was a brilliant experience working on this exciting project with Sam Josephine Lynn, co-founder of Leap 71, and the Sheffield team. Advanced engineering design software such as Leap 71's Neuron capacities on the rapid and flexible nature of additive manufacturing, which is supporting the rapid growth of the UK and global space propulsion sector. Thanks particularly to Henry Saunders, Oliver Dew, and Max Crawford Collins at Sheffield for their hard work on this project. Sheffield has been involved in advanced rocketry and propulsion for nearly a decade, primarily through its student team project Sunride, who are aiming to be the first UK student team to reach the Kármán line, approximately 100 kilometers. So over the past few years, a subgroup of these students have been working on liquid rocket engines. The Sunfire 2 engine was the first student-built 3D printed liquid rocket engine in the UK, making national headlines. Their next generation engine, Sunfire 3, recently took the crown as most powerful student rocket engine in the UK. On the back of this success, aerospace academic Dr. Alistair John and PhD student Henry Saunders set up the national propulsion competition Race to Space. The aim of this initiative is to open up access to highly quality propulsion test facilities for student teams to develop their practical skills, generating high-quality employees to boost the UK space sector. Interesting, very interesting stuff there. And finally, to wrap things up today, it's been a very meaty podcast today. Hope you guys are all enjoying it so far. Let's get into something that's a big one, and here's why it matters. We have Neo humanoid robot. This is not a guy in a suit. This is a Neo, a new humanoid robot for your home. So this beta is an early pre-production version of what will be the first humanoid robot to enter homes with the intended purpose of doing your chores. Neo is by far the safest humanoid in the world. It exerts about 100 times less force and moves in a much more human-like way than any other humanoid. 1X's mission is to create an abundant supply of physical labor through safe, intelligent humanoids that work alongside people to achieve this goal. 1X humanoids must be exposed to diverse environments to become fully capable of performing a wide range of tasks. So you see here on this Instagram post, we have this robot, Neo, waving along to a girl, taking your girl from you. Something you should be cautious of in the future, right? Next slide. Here we got Neo in the kitchen. Looks like he's doing dishes here, putting them away, nice and organized, being a good robot. So yeah, this is gonna be another thing. Other than doctors, you got them. Robots that are gonna be integrated into your house, doing your chores for you and helping you out. We talked in a different podcast about the Tesla robots that are coming out and how they're moving. We got Elon Musk working on them as well. Very exciting stuff. Something that I look forward to. If I could have a robot to be with me and help me out with the things I need. Whether it's helping me with the workout, helping me mow my lawn, do some dishes for me, do some chores, maybe fold some laundry, maybe clean the house a little bit. I feel like a $30,000 price tag on this would be, very worth it. And it's something that's going to be widely used in the future. So we might as well go ahead and adapt. Got a lot of movies like iRobot, talking about it, and the future has been predicted for a while. It just seems like we're moving at a faster rate now, and these betas are becoming more and more widely available and accessible. So we got a video here by CNET.
The development of humanoid robots.
This video
1X is
getting here. Talking about the robot here. Let me see. Let me load up for you guys. And boom.
Decision to show Neo with its arm around a person.
Start over. Come on. Do this video. Start if I can start it. All right. Here we go. Let's get into it.
Built by robotics company 1X. This pre-production beta model will be tested in home settings, an interesting shift from many of the more warehouse-focused humanoids we've been covering. Here's everything we know about Neo, the new robot on the block.
I'm on stream right now.
1X dropped a short and sweet teaser announcing its Neo robot. In it, the robot picks up a bag and hands it to someone and poses with a person for a picture. While this is the first video 1X has shared of Neo, it appears the robot made an appearance as a hologram alongside NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang when he announced the company's Project Groot, a platform for the development of humanoid robots. 1X's decision to show Neo with its arm around a person indicates how 1X may be hoping to differentiate itself from the competition.
I'm on stream right now, but yeah,
robotics companies show interaction with humans primarily
has
to
some
test resilience or
humanoid robots right now coming
Are
out.
those the ones that have the mycelium in them?
1X seems to be selling a kind of close and casual encounter that we haven't seen a lot of in the humanoid robotic space. This is like
AI and mycelium combined, because the AI can do like what you tell it to do, but the mycelium can think.
Okay, yeah, I haven't heard of those. Gotta look those up. But
yeah,
looking at the Neo beta right here.
Likely due to the fact that 1X is pitching Neo as something that could someday be used to help around the house. Something designed for the home will naturally require a deeper level of trust than something designed for a factory or warehouse setting, since the robot will know where you live and see where you sleep. Neo is about 5 feet 5 inches tall and weighs 66 pounds, making it one of the lightest humanoid robots we've covered here on What the Future. It can carry 44 pounds, run at a speed of 7.5 miles per hour, and has a battery life of 2 to 4 hours. If Neo is on the fritz or acting strange, 1X says the robot can be quickly taken over by a remote human operator for safety. Another interesting feature is that Neo is covered in clothing, making it look more like the first iteration Tesla bot, meaning a person in a robot suit, than an actual robot. The clothing may be an effort to cover up what 1X says is a, quote, muscle-like anatomy, perhaps to protect some proprietary technology or for aesthetic reasons.
My mom, by the way, chat. Say what's up to mom down in the comments. Visiting me. Cousin as well visiting me. Yeah.
1X says Neo can, quote, walk, jog, climb stairs, and navigate your space naturally. 1X has made humanoid robots before, which could give us a clue at where Neo is headed. Neo's predecessor, Eve, was heavier, taller, and also clothed to cover up its robotic innards, making it look pretty.
Now, that robot doesn't look too mean. It looks like a friendly robot. It's got a nice smile on its face, but let's just hope it doesn't turn red and, turn into one of the iRobots, right? And go crazy and ballistic on us. But as long as it's programmed right, hopefully it doesn't, they don't get a mind of their own. That's a huge threat posed by something like AI, is that it, becomes autonomous and thinking for itself, and they all team up. And Elon Musk warned us that that's one of the biggest threats to humanity, right? What if they, decide that humans aren't necessary for their development or for their well-being, and they just decide to kill us all, right? We've all seen the movie Terminator. It's these movies a lot of times do predict the future, and that's something that is very possible. So we do have to be careful of that.
Be jacked. Not exactly comforting to a world that's been conditioned on sci-fi movies. Eve uses wheels instead of legs to get around, and 1X describes it as an AI data collection platform and the foundation for Neo's learning. 1X has posted several videos of its Eve robots operating autonomously, performing a variety of tasks, with some appearing to be more successful than others. They are in training, after all. According to its CEO, 1X will be deploying a handful of Neo beta robots into homes this year for research and development purposes. The company hopes that ultimately its robots will be able to help around the house with chores and perhaps provide support to people with limited mobility. 1X is backed by OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, though it's unclear how OpenAI's technology is being used in 1X's robots, if at all. We do know that Figure, another humanoid robotics company, announced a partnership with OpenAI that allows its robots to converse and take vocal commands. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'm your host, Jesse Orrell. See you next time.
Interesting. We got the humanoid robots coming out. We got another video related. This is the humanoid robot Neo. This is another beta video.
The humanoid robots just keep coming. Neo is the latest, built by robotics company 1X. This pre-production beta model will be tested in home settings. An interesting shift from many of the more warehouse-focused.
Oh no, that's the same one. My bad, guys. This is what I meant to share with you guys. This is the Eve, the baking gingerbread cookies. So this is another humanoid robot, but this one is Eve. Wrong video. Let's jump into this one though.
Hi, I'm Eve. Welcome to the 1X Kitchen. In this video, to celebrate the winter holidays, I'll share with you how to make my favorite gingerbread cookies. You can also find the recipe in the video description. So if you're ready, let's get started. We begin with adding the butter and the brown sugar in the stand mixer, and blending it together, until smooth. Once that's done, add the vanilla, and the molasses and mix once more until the mixture is uniform. While the mixer is running at medium speed, add the remaining ingredients, 1 cup at a time, finishing with the flour. The mixture should now form a dough. Divide the dough into 2 halves. Transfer each half into containers. Place them in the fridge to chill. This should take 3 to 6 hours depending on the temperature of the fridge. Once the dough is chilled, preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, or 180 degrees Celsius. And line baking trays with parchment paper. Lightly dust your working surface with flour, and place your dough. Roll the dough down, using a rolling pin. We're aiming for a thickness of about 1/8 inch or 3 millimeters. Next comes the really fun part, where we cut the dough into figures using cookie cutters. Transfer the cookies to the baking tray, leaving some space between them. Bake the cookies in the preheated oven for about 8 to 10 minutes before transferring the parchment sheet. If you want to add some extra flair, you can decorate the cookies once they're cool. Here you can let your creativity loose and have some fun with it.
There you have it, folks. We have Eve, helping us out with some cooking. And then we also had Neo helping us out with some chores. So these are both robots, along with the Tesla robot out there coming out. Y'all let me know which one you guys would rather pick. So the advancement of these humanoid robots, guys, is turning sci-fi into reality. These are so unique, all these robots. It's being able, to design, to interact with people, and the possibilities it can bring to robotics and AI and healthcare. And so these next-gen robots are shaping our future, one robot at a time. Very incredible stuff going on. So we got a lot of things that we talked about in this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Trump and Vance on JRE, the future of humanity and colonizing Mars, AI hospitals and robot doctors, AI-designed rocket engines. So, and then new humanoid robots coming out. Appreciate everyone for tuning into this episode. If you are watching the live chat, and if you have been tuned in on this episode, I just want to say we got a lot of interesting episodes and guests coming up in the future. Exciting stuff, so stay tuned in. As always, if you want to support the podcast further, down in the description we have the Patreon. For a small fee, you can support and also join a community of other listeners and a community that is like-minded individuals, and just a great way to get behind the scenes content and other content that I haven't dropped, that may be too spicy for YouTube or these other platforms. This podcast actually was yellow marked right away and taken down because of the political conversation I had at the beginning. So we're going to have to chop this up and take out the copyright material. I showed at the beginning of the podcast, some of the Trump and some of the JD Vance interview from the Joe Rogan podcast, but we'll chop it up a little bit, and this is going to be probably pre-recorded. So anyways, guys, I encourage you guys to share your experiences with this, any thoughts or questions, and let me know what you thought about this episode, and if you thought some of these things were good or bad, and what you think this could mean for our society and everything involved. Guys, I appreciate everyone for joining in, folks. As always, stay beautiful, stay amazing, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, folks.